Good morning, media. We will have Bruce Cassidy shortly. As always, if you have a question, you can get your hand up now. Hi, media. It looks like first up today will actually be Connor Clifton. Hey, Cliffy, we got the media here. We will go first to Jimmy Murphy.
Hey, Connor, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. I guess just how good does it feel now to be back home and playing a playoff game on home ice after everything that's happened over the last year and a half?
Yeah, it's going to be great. There's a lot of excitement, and I'm sure the guys are going to be buzzing, especially first five. It's going to be good to hear those fans again.
What's been your biggest take from playoff hockey versus regular season since you've entered the league? What stood out to you the most?
I think just the details, honestly. Everything means a little bit more this time of year. So obviously it's a best of 7 series. So, every shift matters, and you gotta treat it as such.
Thanks.
Joe McDonald.
Hey, Connor, just what sort of impact has Kevin Miller made on you and the rest of the team? Obviously, there was a time where he wasn't around a lot, but now playoffs are here, he's around. Like, what kind of impact does he have?
Yeah, obviously his, dedication, perseverance, and going through something like that he did the past 2 years it's awesome to see and witness. Obviously, I didn't spend much time with him before he went down for that injury. Honestly, I feel pretty grateful that he's back and I get to learn from him and play with him last game and tonight. I think back when I was in Prague, he's a guy I looked up to, and just the way he carries himself and prepares for practices and games is just a testament to the kind of guy he is.
What's the best way to describe how intense he is?
I'm happy I'm his teammate and not the other way around. That's for sure.
Thanks, Connor.
Kevin Dupont.
Connor, what was your, as a kid growing up watching the NHL, what was your frame of reference for Stanley Cup playoffs, key rivalries? I mean, you weren't around here. I'm just curious where you focused.
I'm from New Jersey. I don't really want to talk about that right now, honestly. I guess I didn't watch too much NHL growing up, actually. I don't want to tell you what kind of fan I was. I think you already know. But, there were some playoff games we watched and with my dad and my family. So just the environment's way different, right? And now experiencing it, it's definitely surreal.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going here, which is, being on the outside, maybe as a fan or a kid, or even in college and watching it. Just what was your perception of what it was, and now that you're living it, what is the difference? What's the whole experience?
As soon as you get to playoffs, I think it's pretty evident that just the atmosphere and the environment is just everything's elevated, and the style of game, the hits, there's a lot more dump-ins and a lot more pressure breaking the puck out. So I think it's pretty evident. Everyone sees it. That's why everyone loves playoff hockey so much, just because the tenacity and the energy that comes with it is just immediate as soon as that puck drops.
Okay, thank you.
Fudo, go ahead.
Connor, 5 of their 6 goals have hit something on the way in. So do you think that's just dumb luck, or are there things that you guys can do, whether that's fronting or negating sticks?
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. Just picking up sticks and not letting them get those tip-ins. And it is a challenge. They get pucks to the net. And honestly, with Tuukka in net, it's our job to let him see it, and he's going to make that save. So I think we got to do a little bit better job of that here in the 5 of 6. But yeah, that's definitely on, especially SD and the work we do net front.
Paul Struzewski.
Good morning, Connor. You just mentioned it quickly a second ago, but you've noticed that there's a lot of hitting going on, whether it's your series or some Pittsburgh Islanders and especially Vegas, Minnesota. Do you attribute that to possibly having a shorter regular season and guys having more energy? Do you attribute that to possibly fans being back in the stands, or is it just normal for the playoffs to be quite as high?
That's just normal for the playoffs. Obviously, this time of year, you're playing a series, right? You're playing the same team over and over again, right? Till someone wins the series. So it's obviously hitting takes a lot out of guys, right? So you're hitting for a purpose, and you're trying to break up pucks and win the puck back, and that just comes with the territory.
Last one, Matt Porter.
Hey, Connor, two quick ones. One, are your families going to games? Like, are you expecting them to come? Are they coming now?
Not yet. They haven't been. My dad talked to me about coming tonight or Friday, but he's not coming tonight.
Okay. And then the other one is, it didn't take you long to get in the lineup, when you guys made the run a couple years ago. But when you first got, around the playoff atmosphere, what was that like for you? I'm curious, in the first few days, what did you pick up? What do you remember when you're just getting into playoff time as a rookie first timer?
I mean, I think I had the privilege of watching some of the best guys do it in the game and in history. So I was extremely blessed to do that. And pretty quickly you learn that, like I said earlier, it's just everything's detail oriented. The details matter so much more in the series, right? As soon as you get to playoffs, it's, you're playing like your back's against the wall, whether it is or isn't. And, talking about last game, it was a huge win for us to tie the series up at 1.
Thanks, Cliffy.
Thank you.
Media next up is going to be Charlie Coyle. As a reminder, if you no longer have a question, to please lower your hand. Hey, Charlie, we'll go first to Chris Ryan.
Hey, Charlie, just your thoughts on what you've seen from the depth guys in this series, and moving back to center. It seemed like you really found your game in game 2.
It's one game. So it's about putting that behind you and going to tonight and doing the same thing and striving for more. You always want to be the best you can be for your team. And there's things that I can do better. There's things that our team can do better. Do we play well for the most part? Of course, but there's always stuff you want to get better. They're going to come out harder this game, and so we got to do the same. But it's that's how you win in these playoffs is the depth, and it can't just be your first, second line guys doing it, and they've done it for a while for us, and we know what they're capable of and what they're going to do. But it's up to third and fourth line and those depth guys to pull the rope a little bit, contribute when we can, but be responsible and make it tough on their guys. Whoever you're playing across from, outwork, outcompete, and we usually get a good result when we do that.
Dan Roach.
Hey, Charlie, just a thought on your excitement level for tonight's game 3 being back home, and also how much would you guys like to get off to a good start tonight and kind of take it right to them?
Yeah, that's always the goal, to get out to a good start. They're a good team. There's going to be some pushes and things like that, but it's just about doing the right things. I think Clifton just touched on it. Details, we focus on that. It's been a rolling puck the last couple too, so make sure we just put that thing in behind them and make them play with it down there and get on them, wear them down, get some good zone time, and play tight. And that's when we're on our game. We get our chances that way. But of course, we're looking forward to being home. There's nothing better than being in this building in the Garden, playoff hockey, just the atmosphere. It's special, and we really love it. So we're really looking forward to tonight.
Kevin Dupont.
Charlie, this is just one of those culture questions that you've just sort of touched on there. 2 years ago, you came in, you go to the final, and you have 2 months of sort of living that, being a local kid here and living that whole experience. Last year was the weird bubble. I'm wondering this time around, do you stop and get gas and hear it from people in the gas station, all that sort of stuff in terms of, or is that diminished still because of the whole pandemic?
I guess it depends where you go. But people are into it around town, and that's what makes playing here so great. Yeah, it's my home. I love playing here in front of family and friends, but just put that aside and playing for the city of Boston, how passionate people are, it's unbelievable. So it's great to have that around town and have people that into it and passionate. And that's why playing at the Garden is awesome as well. And you just see the excitement on the fans' faces and through their cheers and roars, and that's what we look forward to the most. So we want to keep working hard for them and focus on tonight, win the game.
And you are getting that sense of energy now, even with the smaller crowd, the diminished downtown, all of that.
Yeah, it's still there. we know what to expect, and it's still there. Whoever's letting the building, whatever the capacity is, they bring it, and we know we're going to hear it even more than in the regular season. So we're not too worried about that. We know what to expect from our fans and what they're going to bring and what they always bring. But there's always excitement there, no matter who's in the stands for us.
Sophia.
Hey, Charlie, congratulations on the King Clancy nominee by the Bruins. I was actually just wondering if you can just share your thoughts on that as someone who's from here and, obviously playing for this organization you grew up watching and just being recognized by the team as such a leader on and off the ice.
Well, thanks. There's a lot of people that help us out, that help me out, have set the way for me, whether it's past players in the organization as a whole, my teammates, every guy kind of sets the standard here. And so you just follow suit and try to do the best you can to be a good person. And also goes back to my family and my parents and my upbringing, and you don't really realize it at the time when you're younger, but as you get older and you see what your parents did for you and the kind of people they are, not everyone has that. And you feel so lucky to have people like that, that give you those opportunities and do things the right way for you so that you know how to do them as well. So it means a lot. It does, but there's a lot of help and a lot of people who have paved the way for me. So I just try to do my part along with everyone else here, and everyone does a great job around here.
And really quick as a follow-up, I was just thinking like my mom and dad would be more proud of me for this than anything I would accomplish, career-wise. Have you gotten a note from your mom and dad, or have they expressed how proud they are of you in this?
I had a call from my mom yesterday, and she's pretty teary-eyed right from the start. So
Aww.
that really sunk in. But I'm not saying it all goes back to her, but she's the main reason why I'm who I am, and allowing my father, my sisters too. So it's nice to hear that. But those are the people that give me this opportunity, and they've done so much for me.
That's awesome, Charlie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last one, Joey Mack.
Well, first of all, Charlie, thanks. I think I had that same exact conversation with my soon-to-be 16-year-old son last night. So
Good.
when it comes to Parrington. Anyway, I'm curious, what did you know about Kevin Miller before you came to Boston, and what do you know about his impact on that team now that you've been there for a couple of years?
He's a scary dude, and he's still a scary dude. He was always tough to play against. You see it in his eyes, and he's a tough competitor. He does it all. He battles hard. He plays hard nosed, and he's a heck of a player too. And he's got a lot of skill to go with that grit. But he's just a warrior. We all know what he's been through, and actually, we don't know what he's been through. But you see from an outside perspective, and it's unbelievable what he does day in and day out. So to have a guy like that, of that character, that leadership, that's unbelievable to have on your team to be able to watch every day. So he brings so much to our team, playing or not, playing hurt or not, playing healthy, whatever it is. That's Kevin Miller for you, and he's just an awesome guy to have. Any team would want him.
And I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but just how much do you guys feed off of that?
It's huge. It's especially playoff time. Guys play through whatever. You never really know what guys are playing through, if that's the case. And but what he's been through, as I kind of just touched on, I don't even know how to talk about it. It's just unbelievable stuff, and that just sets the way. That sets the standard. And I was always ready to play. Always want more. His work ethic, his compete. That's just top notch right there, and that's how he is.
Thanks, Charlie.
You got it.
All right, media. Last up today will be Bruce Cassidy. As a reminder, if you no longer have a question, to lower your hands, and if you do, you can get your hand up now. Hey, Coach, live here with the media. Leading off today will be Dan Roach.
Morning, Bruce.
Hey, Dan.
How'd Cole do?
They won. He got the W. Gave up some runs this time, but he had a solid triple, best hit of his career.
That's awesome.
His young career, I might add.
Hey, just a thought on you mentioned the other day before you woke up for game one, just when you woke up, what a great day it was, and how good of a day is today. Game 3, first game, playoff game at the Garden and in the city of Boston.
Well, it's nice to be back. There's no doubt about that. I think everyone would say that after the bubble experience. We had to do what we had to do, but it's nice to be back in your familiar surroundings. A lot of Bruins merchandise I see people wearing all around town. It's that time of year. A little later than normal. We always want to be playing this time of year, but playoffs pushed back a bit, but still great weather for it. And just a great atmosphere being back here. We're up to the challenge. I think we are. We had a day off yesterday to recharge, enjoy our game 2 victory, and now it's back to work, put that behind us, and continue to get better.
Tara Sullivan.
Hi, Bruce. I hope you don't mind. I just wanted to follow with something from the game the other night because I think it's important going forward. When Brad said that, he just sort of mentioned it in his answer about the goal, about the penalties, that it was Patrice who had deliberately come over, and I think it was in his words, reeled him back in. I wanted to ask you, just when you speak about Marchand's maturity over the years and the way he's changed, what influence, what degree of influence do you think Patrice specifically has had on him as that pair has worked so much together?
Well, I think he has an influence on everybody, to be honest. Like even myself, early on, I didn't think we were making good decisions. I got fired up. I have a tendency to get emotional at times. Bergie talked to me, say, hey, let's stay in the game here, and so he does it with everybody. Marshy, obviously his kind of sidekick for so many years. They have conversations constantly. I see them after meetings talking about the PK or whether it's PP in zone entries, what they're doing off faceoff. So they just have a great relationship that way. So to me, it just seems natural that it would extend on to the ice when emotions get high. Patrice is just one of those guys. He has the ability to calm things down, as does Krejci. Just Krejci, is not quite as vocal, but he's another guy that will settle things down for his line. They both do a great job. It's why one of the biggest reasons the organization has had success with those two playing at an elite level for so many years, because of what they do to people around them. So, Bergie's great at that, and I think he'll do the same with Pasta. It's just different. Pasta's more the frustration. Sometimes when you're a goal scorer, the puck doesn't find you. He'll keep minute in that regard, whereas Marshy's the intensity level of frustration. And so he's very good at that. As a staff, we try to keep an eye on that as well. But to your question, yes, Bergie does it with everybody, particularly his line mates.
Jimmy Murphy.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Terrific.
Good. Excited for the game?
I am. Are you?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm going to be there. It's nice to be in the game in person and covering that in the playoffs. But Bruce, Taylor spoke the other day a lot about the aura, so to speak, of the dressing room and just how much of an influence it's having on him. You just kind of talking about it with Patrice there too, but just as a whole, I'm wondering, as a coach, what's that like for you, just to sort of see the dressing room take care of each other, so to speak, and pick each other up or navigate through tough times? What's that like for a coach?
Well, I think it obviously is one of the most important things for a coach. I feel if your room can take care of itself, then the coach just has to take care of getting the players ready, making adjustments, getting people on the ice at the right time, obviously in game, but just managing your people on a daily basis is always a big part of coaching. But it's nice if you have a guy in there that's doing that at the same time, because I think players would be the first to tell you it always means more when they hear something from a fellow player, obviously a leader like Bergie, than it does the coach. It's just the way it is. And so that, again, I can't say enough about it. I think I've said it from day one here. I've only been a head coach in 2 spots in the NHL. And as I said, I found one of the biggest differences is the ability of this room to keep guys in line in terms of how the culture of the Bruins, goes forward, the standard that they set, et cetera, while still allowing them to be individuals. We've got a lot of guys that have personality in that team, but when the puck drops and when it's time for work and take care of business, that they do a good job, and they also do a good job of picking each other up, support. I think our whole system, the way we play, revolves around support from teammates. We're not a man-to-man, rarely. It's more about structured system and working for one another, supporting the puck, supporting your partner, whatever. And they do that as people as well, I have found. So great room to be a part of. Doesn't happen everywhere. So for me, I think I'm just enjoying it while I can in that regard and try to do my part.
And just quick follow-up, just any updates on the lineup today? Everything the same?
Yeah, everyone's good to go. Kevin is a maintenance this morning, hasn't done a lot of morning skates, Miller, so he'll be back in the lineup tonight. Same forward group to go get the start. And off we go.
Joey Mack.
Bruce, along those same lines, you're talking about the locker room, just when Kevin Miller is around, and he obviously has been a lot more this season than he has in the past, just what kind of impact does he have, and how do the guys feed off of what he brings?
Well, Kevin is quiet in his approach. He's obviously a very determined and hardworking guy. Everyone knows that around here. Part of the culture I just spoke of, I think, was Tara's question, that just what our locker room consists of. So, got new guys coming in. He's been really good for Grizz when he came in, and Zaboral at the start of this year. So certainly willing to do that part of the job. And I think the other team knows when he's on the ice that there's always a guy out there that's going to match some hit for hit and is going to stand up and say something on the bench when he feels something's inappropriate. I mean, there's always clean hits in the game. You got to be prepared to take them, especially in the playoffs. Take a number, pick yourself up, and get going. There's other things that come close to cross the line. He's excellent at policing those while keeping his discipline. Rarely did you see Kevin going off on a undisciplined penalty or something to that effect. He'll take his share by playing hard, but it's not usually one that he's lost his composure. He's excellent at that. I think, like I said, guys see that, and calms them down a little bit, makes them feel bigger on the ice themselves.
Thanks, Coach.
Kevin Dupont.
I've got two here. The first one is off topic, if I could. Gilles Lupien died yesterday, and you would have been paying a lot of attention to the NHL then. First of all, what'd you think of his game? And hand in hand with, those guys don't come through the minors anymore. There's no one who tries to bash their way into the league. As the coach, what would you be telling a kid like that today?
Well, I still think there's room for that, Kevin, because I think Kevin Miller, we just talked about, was a guy that came through the free agent ranks, come in, and his first thing he did was establish a physical presence, played hard, killed penalties, was tough, and sort of had a bit of that mindset. I'm going to make this team through sheer will and effort and physicality and not be a goof, just a hard hockey player and work my way up. And I think there are still guys that do that. Lupien, I don't remember his whole initial start of his career because Montreal, there was always Lapointe, Robinson, and Savard right back there. And then they mixed some other guys in. I think he might have taken over for Big Pierre Bouchard, kind of slipped into that role. Right. So they had some tougher guys certainly back there. They leaned on those big three. He was one of them. So obviously condolences to his family. You know how I feel about the Montreal Canadian guys, but that's strictly on ice. I'm sure they're great people off the ice, but had a nice career for a guy that didn't have the skill set of those top three guys in Montreal. So good for him. And I still believe there are guys, as I said with Kevin, that still have to find a way to contribute that have that style of play. Now, the difference now, Kevin, is there's just not as much opportunity for them, right? In the old days, it was that younger, smaller, skilled defenseman. There wasn't room for him. There was one on a team if you were lucky. Now you're seeing probably up to three. Whereas back then you had the bigger body guys. They had an easier time cracking the lineup. Now it's the opposite. So that's just the evolution of the game. People can argue about that all day long, but at the end of the day, he found his way in his lineup and a very good hockey team.
And the other one's just about culturally what it's like right now being the coach of the Bruins. Everybody's got an opinion. interest is all that more heightened.
I hear a few of them every now and again.
And-
Diamond, at the grocery store. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I love hockey, so it doesn't bother me, but I do hear them. Yep.
And what, do they actually come right up to you like in the 7-Eleven and say, this guy should be on the power play, or this is how to get to Anderson?
There's a few opinions. Other people are mostly supportive. It's a very supportive community when it comes to the Bruins. I think people love their Bruins. They're passionate about their Bruins. The odd guy we'll have a discussion on, okay, well, what's the thought here? But very respectful, I find, in hockey rinks in the winter when I'm at my son or daughter's games. So it's all good with me. Like I said, I tend to be open-minded to some of that stuff. As long as they're respectful, I'll be respectful, and we typically have good conversations. So that's face-to-face. Like I said, I don't get involved too much, and I'm not on social media, so that might be a little different, but I know that when I run into people, it's always good.
Thank you.
Last one, Timmy Rosenthal.
Hey, Bruce. Taylor Hall the other night was talking about how much he thinks he has another level to reach, so to speak. For all the good things that he's done for you guys in the scoring department, drawing penalties, and even back checking, and start making some fine defensive plays, do you sense that he still has some fine tuning to do to get to that next level?
I think every player would say that. They want to feel that they can be at their best every night. I think it's a great standard to set yourself to, as long as you don't beat yourself up if you don't get there, because it is a hard league and this is the toughest time of year. All the things you said, he has contributed to us. And I think that's important, that if you've got to bring something to the table. If the puck's not finding you, then maybe you're physical, maybe you are back checking, breaking up plays, you're doing your job defensively until the puck does find you. And I think it was a bit of a conversation on the bench about that the other day with Taylor. Hey, when it's your turn, just be ready. And he was late in the third. Puck found his stick. He had some open ice. He attacked it D, did everything right, got the puck to the net, hung around, and he got the tying goal. So good for him for sticking with it. I think that's a sign of maturity for players. He'd probably tell you that. I think some young guys might get frustrated and say, well, it's not my night. Maybe tomorrow we'll be stuck with it. And we need that effort, and every team does if they want to advance. So, and as for, his next other level, well, I've only seen him here for, this stretch. He was at a pretty high, he was slowly every game almost, creeping up to that level, and certainly got better as the more time he was here. And I imagine that will happen for him, Tim, in the playoffs as well. I mean, it's a little bit new to him for the Bruins in the playoffs, and he hasn't had a ton of experience. So this will be good for him. And obviously, if that's the way he sees it, then we're excited about that, because it's great when a player can do his own self analysis and understand where his game's at. It's not easy for players to do that and look at themselves honestly, and we'd love to see it, because as you know, going through the playoffs, you need that, and we're no different.
Thanks, Coach.